Hey guys, my name's Sam. Welcome to PrepMedic. I despise wearing gas masks, but I hate this one a little bit less. Today, we're going to be reviewing the Avon Protection C50 air purifying respirator. Gas masks are one of those things that look really cool while you're LARPing on Instagram, but in actuality really suck to wear for any period of time. Over the last 8 years as a Thames medic, I've spent a lot of time in gas masks, and I can tell you one fact: I hate them. They are uncomfortable, you end up getting dehydrated, and they just kind of suck. Now, most of my experience in the last 5 years since I moved out to Colorado with gas masks have been with this guy. This is a Scott SCBA mask that has an attachment for an air purifying filter at the end. In actuality, this works pretty well. It filters what it says it's going to filter, and it's not horribly uncomfortable, at least for a short period of time. What I've noticed with this is that, one, it's really hard to shoulder a rifle. Now, we're not sworn out here. I don't shoot regularly, but sometimes we qualify with the team. And what I have noticed with this is when I put my head to the rifle, it is very hard to get that sight picture, even with my elevated sights. Next up, when I'm trying to treat a patient in this, in a real world scenario, when I start to look down, which that's where the patient usually is, this starts hitting my chest, especially when I have armor on, and it gets really hard to do my job. Beyond that, it's just a grab hazard, and I've had people pull this on my face. Now, most of my experience as a Thames medic, actually all of my experience as a Thames medic, when I'm wearing this mask, it's not for a real biologic or weapons threat. It's purely for riot agents. So it's really not that big of a deal, but still kind of an inconvenience. So enter this guy right here. This is the C50 air purifying respirator from Avon Protection. Now, I don't get any money from this video, but they did send me this mask. That being said, I'm under no obligation to say anything nice about this product. I don't have a script or anything like this. I'm truly giving you my opinions of this. Now, I've been sitting on this mask for a while, and the reason I haven't done a review yet is because I hadn't used it in the real world. Luckily, last week I was finally able to get my feet back under myself with some of my outside of work obligations and start doing some more Thames training. Got out, they recertified with their chemical munitions, so their CS, CN, OC, all of that stuff, and we were in masks for the majority of training, and I felt like I had a good grasp of this mask and what its capabilities were and what I thought of it. Before we dive deeper into this mask specifically, I do have to tell you, I'm not an expert in ticks or TIMS or CBRN. I'm not a hazmat tech or a specialist at all. I had my hazmat ops way back in the day. And like I just said, the majority, actually all of my experience comes from riot agents. So I have never been in a nerve gas attack or been in the trenches when mustard gas was coming over. That's just not my experience. This is just what I think as a Thames medic. So first and foremost on this mask, this is an air purifying mask, which means it is not meant to add oxygen. If you are in a low oxygen environment, this isn't going to do you any good. So it's not good for fire escape. But it will filter a variety of things, and that leads me to talking about some of the different cartridges they offer. So right here, I have the Riot Control cartridge because that's what we're using most of the time. The cartridge itself is a 40mm thread, which this is important because this is a very common thread on a lot of other canisters. So this guy right here, which is made by Scott, a different company, has the exact same threading, and I can take that and I can screw it onto the mask. What makes Avon Protection's pucks a little bit better is that they are actually concave here. So they sit a little bit closer to the mask and don't add quite as much bulk, which seems like a small deal, but when you're actually wearing it, it makes a huge difference, especially when you're shouldering a weapon or when you're trying to move your head around in any kind of confined space. So I really like that. These things have a very long shelf life while they're in the packaging. Obviously, they start to deteriorate the second they're out of the packaging. That being said, even with this old one that's way expired, I can use this with riot agents now and it's still probably going to work. It's just not guaranteed to work after a certain period of time. Right here, this has a moisture sensor. If this turns blue, you're supposed to discard it as it will not be protecting you as good as it would be otherwise. So for riot agents, this thing worked great. I got hit with all kinds of gas and nothing came in the mask whatsoever. Now, the next filter I have here, this is like, it's basically an N100 mask. This is going to protect you from, dust, very large particulate, and then your viral and bacterial threats. So this is going to help you with infectious agents, essentially. And then last, we have their full CBRN cartridge. This is that bioterrorism cartridge that's going to protect you from all of the very, very small molecules, the nerve agents, things like that, chlorine gas, that are going to get through these other filters. I should mention that these are all NIOSH certified, which is a very, very hard certification. It's really kind of the pinnacle gold standard of certification for these masks, and that's kind of what sets Avon Protection apart from some of their competitors. So these do come with a price tag. Each one of these filters is around $50, and the mask itself, as of making this video, is $500, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. As far as the mask itself, the first thing I noticed when I got this mask is the netting, the little hood behind it. When I'm wearing my Scott mask and I throw it on a helmet, I get a lot of hot spots right here because my helmet goes over these. And it really hurts. After about 5 minutes, I start getting hot spots on my head. I start moving it around, and obviously if you're moving gas masks around, they're not going to be quite as effective. Now, this was never meant to be a tactical gas mask. We did it because we're an EMS agency and we kind of take what we can get. But here, it's very, very uncomfortable. With this mask, I noticed this after a couple hours. I didn't have any hot spots on the top of my head. I get some with my helmet anyways, but I didn't notice any up by the buckles where they usually are. And that's because these are very low profile. There's no buckles. It's just Velcro at the top of this mask. What's cool about this is I can adjust the top and the sides right here, and the only buckles I have to adjust are the side buckles to get this on my face. And it's very, very easy to get on. I store this with the hood over the front. I can just pull it over my face and it's on, ready to go, tighten these down, do a quick fit check, and I'm done. Now, the other really comfortable thing about this is that the visor is actually flexible, where this one is not. So there's a couple other brands out there that are not either. And this, I also noticed, just helped me keep a good seal when I was moving around. Really had no issues. It's a very clear visor, and you can get some outserts that can just clip onto the outside, some mirrored ones that, I mean, honestly, they look really cool, but can also protect from some sun. You can get laser resistance lenses and a bunch of different things, especially if you have any kind of prescription. They actually have a prescription insert in here, so you can wear that very easily and still be able to see what's around you. Now, in the front, we have an exhalation valve, and we have a little flap right here for comms. I honestly haven't hooked this up to my comms yet, so I haven't used that feature, but you can definitely do it. I've had pretty good luck just bringing my boom mic in front of me, and you can still understand me on the radio when I talk. You can get a voice amplifier in the front. Most of our SWAT team has those. I'm not really yelling commands out at anybody. My job isn't to arrest anybody, so I haven't really felt the need to get that. You have a drinking tube, which once again, I have not used. There's canteens that this can be used with, where you can plug it in, and then on the inside, there's a straw. You can drink that. Because I'm, again, not in a dangerous to life scenario with these riot agents, I can usually take a couple steps away, drink some water if we're on a multi-hour standoff. And then of course this valve here opens and closes that. One of the cool things here is that you'll see this filter is off to the side and I've got a plug here. If I'm a right-handed shooter, which I am, I can keep this on the left side and it really doesn't interfere with my rifle all that much. Now, it's not fun shooting in a gas mask. It really doesn't matter what gas mask. They all make it harder to shoot. But this one is much, much easier, especially with this not being totally rigid. I can kind of mash my face into my rifle a little bit more and it works. If I want to take this, switch sides, all you need to do is get their little tool or get a pair of pliers, unscrew that, screw this in on that side, and then plug the other side. If you notice that this is hard to breathe through, you could, in theory, take both of these out and run dual canisters. I personally don't see the reason for that. Now, I actually, to test this today, ran a mile at a moderate pace, about a 9-minute mile, starting at about a 10-minute mile and ramping up to about a 7-minute mile at the end. And it felt comfortable. It's not fun working out in these, but I didn't notice a huge amount of resistance when I was breathing. Now, you probably get more resistance as you up the filter protection. If I were to do this in the CBRN filter, it would probably suck a little bit more, but I never got claustrophobic. I never felt like I absolutely couldn't get my breath in. And the mask did not fog at all. You'll notice on the inside you have an internal mask that kind of cups your nose and your mouth. That seal kept very strong. I could see perfectly out of this at all times. Now on the bottom you have this little bill, and this hangs down kind of over your neck. I really hate things touching my neck normally. You can just ask my wife about that. But this one, I really didn't notice it, and I had no issues with it whatsoever. This is a very, very soft rubber, and it's very comfortable. So all in all, this thing was great. But I think my favorite feature of this, for at least what I'm doing, is I can wear this with literally any helmet. I threw on a ski helmet. I have my Exfil right here, my ballistic helmet. It fits perfect, and they should fit perfect because Avon Protection, somebody owns somebody. I can't remember if Team Wendy owns them or they own Team Wendy. I think they own Team Wendy, and this is a Team Wendy helmet, so I'd hope they work. But, you know, I can put on that ski helmet there, I can put on my rescue helmet, I can put on my Exfil SAR, and they all fit perfectly, give me a lot of protection coming down over the brow so I'm not exposing my forehead to any kind of threats. These masks do come in 3 separate sizes, small, medium, or large, and you can see the size right here on the brow. Now they have a sizing tool you can get, print out, and use it to size your face, but they do say that this fits, the medium fits like 98% of the population. So most of you, unless you're an extreme of size, are going to fit this medium just fine. This thing fits perfectly. They guessed my face on a Zoom call and they got me a medium, and it works perfectly. So I really like that they are sized though, because then if you are an extreme of size, you can get something that really works for you instead of just trying to make do. So let's talk about cost really quick, because I think that's one of the only downsides to this product. Now, if you're a police department outfitting a couple dudes on your SWAT team with this, you know, $500 a pop really isn't that bad, especially when you're talking about, you know, the price of, you know, light bar in the squad car, armor, helmet, things like that. $500, nah, it's not that horrible. But if you're somebody that wants a mask for general preparedness, maybe you live next to railroad tracks and you're worried about a derailment, maybe you live next to a chemical plant or something like that, and you just want a mask to protect you as you escape that hot zone, then $500 might take a little bit of a different tone for you. So with this, this is one of the highest, you know, certified masks on the market. NIOSH certification, I don't know all the details, but it is very rigorous. It involves surprise site visits. They test these in a variety of different situations. They shoot all kinds of agents at this and look for any kind of leak. So as far as quality goes, this will work. There's no debate on whether this mask will work or not if you use it appropriately. But there are cheaper options on the market, and I'm not telling you not to go that route. They just won't carry the same certification. They will probably work. I usually go for, you know, quality over everything if it's a life safety thing. That being said, when we're talking about, you know, gas masks and chemical attacks and stuff, when we're talking about preparedness in particular, a gas mask isn't the first, it's not the 10th, it's not the 20th thing you need to be thinking about. But eventually you will get to this, and it's not a bad thing to have. So take all of that into account when you're purchasing these masks. You know, you have to do kind of your own risk assessment and decide what it's worth for you. So if you have any questions about this, leave them in the comments down below. I'm excited to hear what you think, and I will see you next week.